What I think the best thing about just watching people is, and I'll even just spin this into fitness because essentially that's what we do here. We talk about fitness and life, and basically I spin everything back into the realm of fitness so you guys can understand that this is what I do for real, for real. I'm always going to have a story for something, and I hope you all enjoy them. So, now for me, when I've always been the person in the gym watching people like how do you do this, how do you do that, and I didn't have anybody show me the proper ways to do things until about like 5 6 years ago when I joined CrossFit, and from there on, no, I'm gonna backtrack. I have a very good friend. Shout out to Wilson. He's the one who actually showed me the ropes in terms of exercising. That's been my workout buddy for over like 10 years, whatever the case may be. And anytime we get together, it's always a good time because we're going to talk shit, we're going to lift weights, and we're going to get busy. It's one of the few people that um, it's like no bitch assness. So I do have one program out right now, and it's called Only for the Strong. He coined the name, so it's just like um, that's what I want. That's what I have on on one of the shirts. It says Only for the Strong, and basically the program is a fitness audit. Now it's an 8 week program, and it's going to go through some of the things in terms of how you should be standing, what your if you don't know what an audit is, basically they're gonna come to your shit and they're gonna make sure that everything's within regulation. And if you're not within regulation, you're gonna get fined. I'm not gonna find you, but the fine is having to start over and figuring out how to move properly. Now, this is something that you're going to be lifting heavy weights because I'm going to challenge you because it doesn't matter if you could do the weight at the lightest. What I really care about is what you perform like when you're under stress. This is not something for the faint of heart. This is as close as you could get to the way that I train. Now, I'm not saying I train like a maniac, but a lot of people won't do what I do, especially for as long as I do it for. And you must be kind of sick in the head to do what I do. But I enjoy working out, and I enjoy the satisfaction of getting to the point um, of being euphoric in a sense. Like there's something that I'm always chasing, and it's not necessarily every time that I exercise that I get there, but knowing that I'm getting closer day by day makes me want to push in everything that I'm doing. Whether it was I got to make sure I do my core exercises tonight, so so at least next week, if I'm doing these consistently, then I should be good. I've been doing I'm getting ready to start my second 30-day core session. Now, I can tell you this: the first 30 days helped remarkably. Definitely helped. The word tones is not real, so I'm not going to use it. Because have you ever been to the supermarket and been like, "Yeah, I want that toned piece of meat right there," and the person behind you, person behind the glass was like, "That one right there"? No, you've never seen a toned piece of meat. So please don't use that for your body because essentially we were just slabs of meat, right? So, um, it definitely helped form and shape and protrude some of those muscles out. It's not like I never had a six pack before. It's not like I haven't been. I wouldn't say shredded, but I've been very close. I've been very close to like say like 10% body fat. I don't think I ever want to get lower than that. Um, but that's besides the point, right? Watching people every day definitely helped. Just with me understanding how I should move and what somebody looks like when they don't know what they're doing, what somebody looks like when they do know what they're doing, but they're not fully in control, and then what somebody looks like when they've been doing this for years. And at that point was that I started to get good at actually weightlifting was like year 8. This is after high school. This is like 2 years into college, 2 3 years into college, and you know, this is where me and Wilson like really got busy. I couldn't deadlift for shit when I first started. My feet just weren't right. Back wasn't strong enough, but I was able to sumo deadlift. So I don't really talk shit about sumo because that's the way I that's the way I started doing deadlifts. It is the only way that I was able to do deadlifts properly. we've always done like the hex bar deadlifts, and I never liked those in high school. So, yeah, there's a there's a lot of things y'all don't know. Like, trust me, yo, I've been scared. I've been scared before, and you even hear my voice rattle. So, in terms of like lifting weights and doing things that I've never done before, yeah, man, fuck, I get scared. I'm a human being, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm not gonna be no bitch, you know. Like, I might get butterflies when I'm doing something, but I'm already doing it. It ain't no worse. Yeah, like how worse can it actually be? I don't do it, and I fail or I pass out. Like, you know, who you gonna laugh at me for trying? Yeah, go for it. But I want you to show that same effort, that same tenacity when you was fucking laughing. I want you to do that now when I make it. I want them claps. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, I'm moving this desk a lot. But yeah, it's tough. Like it's intimidating. Being in the gym, and like I was in the gym for a long time, 8 years, and not knowing how to properly move, and going to ask people for help, and they didn't know how to properly do something while I was doing it, and it just didn't feel good. And I'm just like, there's no way in hell, I'm just supposed to tough it through these exercises. There has to be a better way to get through this shit. And you know, me and Wilson did a lot of digging, and we just figure out, this is how we're supposed to move, this, that, and the other. And over time, I was just like, I found this CrossFit gym down the road at the time where I lived up in Massachusetts, and I was like, I don't know how the hell I found it, but I just seen like Olympic lifting, right? And there was this guy named Rick Froning, and he's the GOAT, bro. Right? So he's doing, I think the workout is called, I know the workout was called Grace. And I think they done it at the CrossFit Games, or at least the regionals at the time when I was watching it. So they're doing that, and they're crushing it. I was like, yo, there's a sport where people just lift weights other than like strongman. Like, this is dope. And I went down the rabbit hole. Like, I watched every video I possibly can about Rich Froning, and then I found out about like Dan Bailey and Annie Thorisdottir, and who was some of the bigger guys at the time too. Whether it was like Chris Spuler or Carl Webb. These are like, man, there's just so many people that I looked up to that I was just like, damn, this is awesome. Whether I knew their name or not, it was just, I know what it felt like to give it your all and look like shit at the end, and give it your all and not win, and give it your all and come in first. And that struggle that I see people go through, especially with lifting weights, it's a bond, because I know exactly how you feel. I know that's burning the shit out of your legs, because I did the same workout and it's burned the shit out of my legs. There's human beings are connected by suffering, and suffering and love, man. And if you see somebody suffer, and there's been a lot of that going on, whether you see protesters get shot or black people being killed, it sucks, man. And for something like that to happen, and for us to unify together, is a beautiful thing, because nobody wants to go through that suffering. And I try to tell people this all the time about what I've been through in terms of my story. Like, you don't ever want to be in those shoes, whether you were Michael Floyd or you were Trayvon Martin, or these men didn't know that they were going to die today. Children didn't know that they were going to die today. They didn't get a chance to say I love you. Who knows if they did or not. And being wrongfully killed is not the way I think that they planned on going out. So it's sad. And I can only imagine what the family is feeling. So my condolences go out to them, because I couldn't tell you how hard it was. I haven't lost anybody in my life that was, as close to me as my brother or my dad or anything like that. I've lost teammates from football, and that shit hit home. So I can only imagine what it feels like to lose somebody as close as my father, my brother, my mom, my siblings, my cousins that are just like, they're just like family. Like we've grown up in the same house. So it's not an easy pill to swallow, and I want y'all to understand that the flip side of this death and criticism is glory and beauty. And hopefully we all can stay united and keep pushing forward, because I know it's a big topic in America right now. I'm sorry I took everything just kind of went left, but I want to make sure that I get my point across, and that we all understand that suffering is something that brings us together, and I don't want that thing to bring us apart. So if you ever played any team sports, whether it was basketball, football, soccer, volleyball, the conditioning that you went through after practice, nobody wants to do that shit. I mean, it might have been like one or two kids, but they're different. But as a collective, when we're running and we got to do sprints, and they're like, nobody better come behind X, Y, and Z. They'll call, hey, Webley, if anybody's behind Webley, then we got to start this again. Now, mind you, I'm not the slowest kid on the team, but I'm not the fastest. So you gotta be at least hauling ass if they call me out. But then they'll call out the faster kids, and it's just like, well, y'all know what y'all got to do, because if I don't come in front of y'all know they're gonna make us do this again. But if y'all don't be at least near me, at least tracking on my heels, then we're gonna have some kind of issue. So we used to push each other. You know what I mean? There was times where we'll be yelling at each other, get up. You know what I mean? Because we gotta go. If you make us do this again, we're gonna have some fucking problems. But it's that same thing, that same anger, that animosity, that rah, because we're tired and because we're suffering, because our bones are aching and our muscles are tired. We're like, dude, we want to go. Let's get up and let's do this. Let's get through the suffering together. That thing right there builds camaraderie, builds teamwork, it builds a trust that you will never find anywhere else. And then unless you have those kind of situations going on, like I don't know many people who have the same kind of trust that people in sororities had, people that been on football team, people that's been close together for a long time. I don't know many groups of people that actually have that feel that drive, because we've all been through the same things together, that journey. And I want to make sure that I'm able to give that to y'all, especially when I do this thing for y'all in terms of fitness, business, life, and the podcast. Like these things that I've been through, like my mistakes, my struggles, my doubts, the things that scare me, the things that that keep me up at night, and I think it's very important. It's a disservice for us not to share our story. I think it's very important for us to at least help each other out in that aspect. If you're not going to, show me the way, personally, at least put something else out so I could follow it. You know what I mean? I could look for these treasure notes. I could go on my treasure hunt or Easter egg hunt, or whatever the case may be. One thing leads to another, and if I have an issue that, I put it like this: we've all been in class, we've all been to school, and there's been a point in time where your teacher was like, "Please ask any question. No question is a dumb question," because like somebody else could actually have that. How many times have, or even on the opposite side of that, how many times have, the teacher's like, hey, what's X, Y, and Z, times X, Y, and Z divided by this, and you were sure about the answer, but you didn't raise your hand, and somebody else raised their hand and blurted out the answer and got it correct. You had like the sense of relief come over you, because you weren't sure that you were doing the right thing, but you had the right answer. Now, if that person didn't say anything, you possibly could have been the only other person in that room to help the entire classroom, but you didn't, because you were scared. And that's okay because these are things that scares us. Being wrong scares us. Being right is frightening. You know what I mean? When you go out on the limb and you want to make sure that you're doing things to your standard, it just is scared. That's why sometimes it takes me so long to do a podcast. It's like, what am I going to talk about? Am I going to be interesting this time? I don't know if you all could actually tell the tone, the change of tone. It sounds a little bit more natural now than it's done in the last two podcasts. And I just want to make sure that I'm bringing that every single time because I love doing this. And though situations may make me scared and may make me timid at points, it's like I can't back down. What's the worst case scenario that that can actually happen? The worst case scenario that can happen, my life falls apart and I have to start all over again if I quit doing what I'm doing. Okay, how bad is that? Do I want that to happen? No. So I better get to work. And it's like you can have hard conversations with anybody, your mom, your dad, your spouse, your boss, your landlord, but only one of those decisions are actually going to make you happy and going to make you money. And that decision is the one that comes from you. Point blank and period. If you do not make that decision to change, if you do not make that the decision to be serious about what you're doing and be accountable, then it's not going to happen. As much as you tell yourself, as much as you pray about it, it's not going to happen because you're not taking any actions to make sure that you are staying on course. So with that being said, you all, please do not be afraid of learning. Do not be afraid of, eavesdropping, figuring out what people are doing because it works. You know what I mean? You know how many times I'm on Instagram or I'm on Facebook and I'm scrolling through all the most popular people on that are in my niche, right? And I'm just like, okay, damn, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to steal that. Not necessarily steal, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to put my spin on it. There's this thing where I'm pretty sure you all know what plagiarism is. We don't do that here, right? You take something that sounds like a good idea, but you make it your own. Like I seen a segment on why you should do Bulgarian split squats. Instead of doing Bulgarian split squats, I said why you should train single arm and single leg movements. And then I give my spiel on that because I have a lot more to say about single arm and single leg movements. Now, I'm going to give you a little tidbit about that. So now, single arm and single leg movements are important because if you ever try to brush your hair or you ever try to brush your teeth with your opposite side arm, yeah, I'm pretty sure you have. And if you're not good at it, you're probably going to have some issues if you were to get into a car accident, if you were to injure that dominant side arm. Now you got to do stuff with your opposite side hand or leg, foot, whatever the case may be, and it becomes a hell of a lot harder to do those things, right? So shaving your head, or your face or your legs, brushing your teeth, your hair, whatever the case may be, that shit becomes 10 times harder because you haven't spent the time activating those motor neurons in your hand and your opposite side hand. What you do, just pick up shit, you put down shit, and then you don't do anything else. You need to be able to focus on doing the little things like, say, moving with that opposite side hand, grabbing things, doing the finer motions, whether it's just doodling, just to understand where you're going, or if it's something as simple as try just brushing your teeth with your non-dominant side hand. It's very easy to do, and after a time you start to understand what your body is doing and how it's supposed to move. Now, the way that I want you to equate that is that when you're doing something right with your if you are well-rounded with both hands, or if you're ambidextrous, when you're doing something correct with your left hand, or if you're doing something correct with your non-dominant side hand, or vice versa. When it just doesn't feel correct. So now when you're in the weight room, say you're using the machine, because a lot of people gravitate towards the machine when they first start going to the gym. If you're lucky enough to have one of those machines like the Planet Fitness that's closest to me, they're a newer gym, so they have the newer equipment where they can use single arms at a time and single leg at a time. So now you're able to push up. Say you're doing the shoulder press, you're able to use one arm at a time. Now, what that's going to do is going to help engage your core. It's going to help strengthen your muscles and build that bone density. Now, one thing I want you to think about is what's going on with your body as you are lifting. Now, you start to feel your chest start to contract. You start to feel your lats start to contract. You start to feel your shoulders. All right, you start to focus on what's happening on that entire side of your body. The other side is not doing anything. You're just staying in that neutral position, right? You do that enough times, you start to understand, all right, this is what I'm looking for when I go do this lift on my opposite side. So I start to do this lift. and I understand, hey, I'm not feeling my lats engaged. Hey, I'm not feeling my chest engaged. What am I not doing with my shoulder? And you start to notice the little things that you are doing improper, whether your back was off the bench or your feet were dangling off or you didn't have like proper alignment. These things happen, but you're able to recognize those things when you do them one at a time. So that's why it's important for you to do these things. You incorporate these things into your life. Incorporate the single arm movements, the single arm leg lifts. You know what I mean? Like let's get this done because it's important. And why not? Because you got two of these bad boys. Trust me, you're gonna want to use them. You'll be surprised on how well and how better life gets when you can do stuff with your opposite side hand and your feet, right? So, bada boom, bada bing. I know I kind of like went left and started rambling this, that, and the other, but I feel like these things are important. So, if you haven't listened to my podcast before, this is pretty much how most of my podcasts, the ones that I do by myself are. These are more like I'm speaking my mind and I'm getting my thoughts out there. Is there some kind of organization and some kind of method to my madness? Yes, I'm just not out here free balling and just spitting the shit, right? There's always something behind the scenes that I want to do to bring to y'all, so I can make sure that these things are coherent and. Whew, I want to make sure y'all understand, right? I'm going to take a quick break because I've just been talking for so damn long. And then I'm just going to come back and we're just going to finish this podcast up with a little bit of dialogue from me. I'm just going to be talking about some of the programs that I offer and the new nutrition challenge that I'm doing for fit-friendly foods. I love y'all. Be safe. I'll be right back.